Chapter 1. The First Encounter. The cobalt blue sky was clear as heavy rains had wiped away all the grey clouds on Roverstone, a small town on the outskirts of Blue Sistine. The highway had turned Venta black. The fresh green leaves swiveled along with gushing wind. Leslie was exhausted, traveling 100 kilometers from Dickinson as she had to travel 50 kilometers more to reach Blue Sistine, where Leslie lived alone and owned a chocolate shop, where she made chocolates of jackfruit beans, her grandma's recipe, and her only asset left with her after her parents disappeared 2 years ago. Leslie was returning from her grandma's place when she saw a big hotel on left of the highway with big golden letters. She had seen it many times before, but never thought of stopping until this time, when a fresh brew of coffee was the necessity of the moment. The white wall with silver balls and cribbled gelatines laces dwelled the feeling that Christmas had just ended. Noontale was constructed in 1923 and was written in golden plaster of Paris blocks just outside the closed AC banquet, with big glass windows packed with adhesives. Waiter, menu please. Leslie yawned looking at the counter. An extremely skinny man headed towards Leslie with fast steps. Leslie grabbed the coffee mug and with sips looked all the big trees planted outside the hotel. The skinny waiter had to walk to and fro for every order that the man gave, sitting straight at the end of the 30 tables row. The hotel is understaffed for such a big hotel. Just 3 waiters, a manager, and a cook, she thought. Leslie saw the man. He was staring at her with every sip. Leslie widened her tired eyes and saw a stitch from eye to chin of the man. As it was turning dark, all the stories she had heard from her grandmother that many people had gone missing on the highway who were never found again crippled through her thoughts, and chills went down her spine. Leslie drank the hot coffee as fast as possible, nearly threw the bill amount on the table, and with fast steps started walking towards the big wooden door out of the closed AC hall. She came across the open lounge where the walls were just 4 feet and a roof joined with iron poles at the corners. With fast steps, Leslie crossed the open lounge and noticed that the distance between hotel and the parking is very vast. Somehow she managed to cross the parking, and with tumbling feet she reached the car. Now she dared to look back. To her surprise, there was nobody behind, and the man was still sitting inside sipping his coffee. Leslie took a sigh of relief and smiled in embarrassment and sat in her orange Volkswagen van and drove out calmly. Dusk had long gone, and a dark night took its place. Along the roadside, she saw a man in white shirt and blue jeans. His image appeared blurred, but his bottle green eyes penetrated straight into Leslie's eyes. He waved for lift, and as a reflex, Leslie put instant brake, about which she instantly regretted. Why did I? Oh God! She immediately turned on the keys back, but the car did not start. Leslie turned the keys again and again, nothing but a poor ignition noise. And it turned out to be of no use. Knock, knock, she heard on the window. Has the car broke? The man asked, to which Leslie again turned the keys on. Do you need help? The man asked with a sarcastic smile. As there was no option, Leslie rolled the window down. Yes, please, she said in pale, nervous tone. He was a ruggedly handsome man with green eyes, a sharp jawline, with shady beard, and a long straight nose. He got to the bonnet of the car and opened it and played with some wires. Turn it on, he said, leaning from the bonnet. And instantly the ignition gave a big continuous sound and the car was turned on. I need a lift till Blue 16. Will you please help me? He asked. Leslie had no option but to say yes. She focused on the steering wheel and rode very hard. There was complete silence. Leslie was attracted to the handsome man and at the same time scared of the stranger. I'm Richard Stone, he broke the silence. Leslie Waltz, Leslie said, staring at the road. And again the silence continued. Where do you stay, Leslie? Richard initiated the conversation again. Princeville was an instant answer. Why did I lie? Leslie thought, but now there was no turning back, as the lie was already told. I live there too. Let's meet sometime, Richard in strong and exciting voice said. Yes, Leslie replied in haste. Just to change the topic, Leslie asked, so where are you going in Blue 16? Leslie tried to change the conversation. To meet a woman. She makes jackfruit beans chocolates. I heard of her lately. What woman? Leslie curiously asked. I don't know. Our children at the NGO once tasted them and on their visit to Blue 16. So, Leslie said in concerned voice, there is a party of our Dream World NGO and the children have demanded those chocolates, so I am going to meet her tomorrow morning. For the first time, Leslie looked at Richard and again in the front, and again the silence continued. Stop here, Richard said. Here? Leslie looked at the two-story attic home. My friend lives here. Thank you. Hope we meet again. Leslie smiled back, blushing and nodded. That shall be tomorrow, she thought, and nodded again. Chapter 2. The Questions. Next morning, Leslie woke up 2 hours early and wore her favorite pink dress, which her grandma had gifted her on her last birthday. Leslie got ready for a ball. She was excited as well as embarrassed for the lie she had spoken. Excuse me? The voice got into her ears. Her heartbeats rushed through and she slowly turned with a smile. Miss, I have come from Dreamworld NGO. He was a different man. Leslie kept looking at him confused. What's your name? Leslie interrupted. I am Richard Stone, the man replied. A chill went through her spine. Leslie got frightened. Leslie asked with flares in her eyes, do you have any acquaintances that by any chance knew you were going to meet me today? Leslie tried to interrogate. No, lady. Now will you please take the order? The man said hurriedly. Oh, yes. Do you know anybody who is tall, handsome man with green eyes? Leslie's curiosity did not match the man's interest. He looked at Leslie furiously and frowned. No, I have never seen a man with green eyes. Look, lady, I have come from Princeville just for the kids, and I am in a great hurry. Would you please take my order? And did you come from Princeville yesterday or Roverstone? Leslie was in her own trance. Princeville. I came from Princeville. Anything more you want to know about me? The man calmly asked to hide his anger. No, Leslie said and took a paper and jotted down the order. The man nearly ran out of the shop, banging the glass door. Leslie sat on her French style chair, clueless. One thing stood clear, that the green eyed man knew us both, Leslie thought. She recollected all the series of things that stood up instantly, ran through the door just flipping the open sign closed, started her wagon and drove where she had left him. The house which he said of his friend was an old two-story house. Leslie rang the bell. She rang it thrice when the door opened. You, the green-eyed man stood in front of her. Yes. Hello, Leslie. Come in. Who are you? And how do you know me? Leslie frowned. Richard Stone, I told you yesterday. And you gave me lift. Don't lie. Richard had come to my shop today. He told exactly the same things you told me. You confess right now, or else I'll call the police. Leslie stood at the door trying to avoid eye contact with his attractive green eyes. Who's it? A lady inside came asking. She is Christine, my friend, and I told you about last night who lives here. Leslie looked at her quietly without a reaction. Christine, she is Leslie Waltz. I know, she makes the best jackfruit bean chocolates, Christine replied, putting her hand for a shake. So you were the lady I was going to meet today? Richard asked. What are you doing here at this hour of time? Richard then asked, worrisome. I don't understand. Leslie slowly stepped in. Today a man visited my bakery, introduced himself Richard Stone, and gave exactly the same information that you told me in the car. Leslie began to sweat as she continued. That means someone heard us when we were having this conversation, Richard remarked. There was someone in the car apart from us. Leslie stood instantly. The same man who visited you today, Richard said. He didn't harm you, did he? Christine asked. No, he pretty much did not want anything, that just giving the order. Relax. Someone must have tried to play a prank, I think. Christine entered with a glass of lemonade. Leslie took the glass and with hesitant smile went back in her unsolved puzzle. Sometime later, Leslie left. Whole day she thought of the man that came to her in the morning, a man with big owl like eyes, with specs and curly hair in black suit. Was he really in my car last night? Does he want to harm me? Did he get inside at Noontale? The questions lingered in Leslie's mind. Leslie locked the bakery in the evening a little earlier than usual as the weather had turned stormy. The wind had started shattering on the glass, making it shiver with a banging sound, and the leaves started clapping chorus. "Hello," a voice came from behind as Leslie just finished locking the door. "Richard." Leslie looked astonished. "Hello, Leslie. I thought of seeing if you are okay." "Thank you, Mr. Richard. That is very kind of you." Leslie again stared at his green eyes. How can a man be so good looking? She thought. They walked by the road of blue sistine with pink clouds overhead. Leslie's yellow dress, which was full of frills, was turning uncontrollable, and she became busy controlling the flying frills until a heavy rain poured. Luckily, Mr. Richard was carrying an umbrella, under which both tried to fit in, but it was not possible until they got very close enough. Leslie felt the electricity between them, but tried hard to repel the man she barely knew. "Can I ask you something?" Richard said, looking down. "Yes, please," Leslie asserted. "Why did you lie that you lived in Princeville?" Richard looked at her and down again. "I wanted to hide my identity from stranger," Leslie said in confession tone. The sound of lightning and pouring rain falling on the ground filled the void of silence that dwelt between them. "I don't understand." Richard abruptly stopped and continued. "You told me that you stay in Princeville. How did that guy came to know that you lived in Blue Sistine?" Richard said in deep voice, making a sharp razor cut between his eyebrows. "What do you mean?" Leslie asked curiously. "If the man was in the car, he heard Princeville, as you told me. How did he visit your shop and knew that it would be you?" Leslie's fear touched the sky and she started shivering. "Are you all right?" "Hey, don't worry, I'm there with you." Richard removed his coat and wrapped around her, rubbing his hands on her shoulders. He said, "You could stay at Kristen's place tonight, if that is comfortable for you." Richard insisted. Though a tough decision to make, Leslie had no choice, as she barely knew anybody in the town, and she was scared to every bit what was going on around her. As they moved forward, Leslie remembered the NGO Richard talked about. The dream NGO. It had the answers, Leslie felt. "I think I will be fine. Thank you, Mr. Richard. But I think I shall head towards home," Leslie said, removing the coat hurriedly. "Are you sure?" Richard did not seem very happy. "Yes, certainly. I'm fine. Thank you." Leslie started walking in the direction of her house, while Richard stood there watching her walk off. As Leslie reached home, she locked the door and every window of her house. She rushed to the phone directory and started turning the pages abruptly till number of dream NGO appeared. She, without a second's delay, took the telephone close to her and dialed the number. Hello, this is Dream Foundation. How may I help you? A lady that at the reception answered. Hello, I'm Leslie Walt, and I wanted to know about a person, an employee of your NGO named Richard Stone. He came to my shop for an order of chocolates for the children in your NGO. Can you please provide me with any of his details, or phone number, or address, or anything? Leslie rushed through the conversation. Mr. Richard had to urgently take a flight to Urun as his daughter had an accident. So he has prohibited for any work calls. Sorry, but you will have to wait until he returns, miss. The lady replied in calm voice. Do you know Mr. Richard personally? Leslie asked. Yes, I do. Thank you for calling. Have a good day. The lady answered. No, please. You don't understand, Leslie nearly shouted at her. Look, I'm in a big trouble and only you can help me. Leslie lowered her voice as much as she could. Please. Leslie was near to breaking down. Does Mr. Richard have green eyes and a straight nose and handsome? Ha ha ha. The lady started laughing. What happened? Leslie's sweat rolled down her cheeks. What you said about the appearance of Mr. Richard? Well, don't tell him. But it's exactly the opposite of it. He looks like an owl in a human body. Ha ha ha. Black eyes, curly hair. Ha ha ha. She giggled. Leslie hung up the phone and she realized the man she was thinking as Richard Stone is someone else, and the real Richard did come that morning. Chills ran down her spine as she came to know that the man she has been thinking as Richard Stone was someone else and stalking her. Leslie locked her door and ran towards her car. She turned the car keys. It did not start. Again she turned it with no ignition, and in front of her windshield was standing the man who was called himself Richard Stone. A drop of sweat rolled down Leslie's cheek. Do you need help? He asked. Leslie nodded with a yes. Then she opened the bonnet and he again played with the wire. He closed the bonnet and asked her to turn on the keys, and it started. As soon as it started, Leslie hurriedly reversed the car and accelerated the car in his direction. She dashed him hard, and his body lied unconscious on the road